item 5.
No.
So
Do I speak about that?
Yes, ma'am.
This is a resolution that the governance committee has worked out, authorizing the mayor to put out an RFP seeking professional legal services. You can see in the amended resolution that the wording has been changed to an annual fixed price representation. Retainer means you give money, and then once you've gone through it all, you have to give more money. And we wanted a fixed price amount for a yearly fee. This is going to help Rich to be able to come up with a budget, to help his budget. We have a proposed amount. And I don't know if this side, do you guys have any questions?
Councilmember Walker.
So do we have, I know you and I spoke today, but just for everyone else, a solid RFP that we're ready to send out, APEX, the insurance company prepared for it, so we...
It was emailed to you.
Oh.
Did you guys get that? You didn't get an RFP? It was an attachment.
Any other questions? Councilmember Jones, do you have a question?
Well, the concern I have is, first off, how do we want to address it? Do we make a motion and then discuss it, or are we going to have a discussion before make a motion?
Well, I would say make a motion and then discuss. I just would, if you have questions, you can ask questions, but I think you're right as far as making a motion and then discuss it and then go from there. Any other questions from council?
I have a lot of questions, but I think we should process through a motion.
So would you like to make a motion?
The questions I have relate to the fact that the governance committee was put together in regards to look at the existing ordinance that we established under the previous mayor, and to look at what language needed to be modified in accordance with that. So I was kind of surprised when I saw that we were looking at a resolution for the night to look at moving forward on legal services contracts when, in this resolution statement here, I see a lot of whereases, but I don't see a lot of actual statements in here in relationship to what are the criteria we're looking for, services, anything else like that. And then I see that, and I've had some discussion with Councilmember Cave about is the governance committee moving forward with the mayor. I just want to make sure that that we're not moving too fast with this. We have our language down. We know what we're looking for. And like I said, I haven't seen that, so
It's in the RFP, all the criteria and the requirements of what we're looking for, the amount of hours per month, that it's very detailed.
the only RFP I have is this one right here. When I got my agenda for the night, it doesn't have any information related to that. It's just a request for a proposal. So that's the only thing I have. So I don't have the information.
And I'm kind of with you, Councilmember Jones. I mean, there was like two different things going on here. There was the governance committee, and then, how would we proceed with this? Are you on the government?
I'm not.
Okay. Anyway, so I was kind of surprised to see this too, and I thought it would be embedded a little bit more through workshops as far as that process goes, instead of just moving forward immediately, because I don't believe the RFP was discussed at workshop. And
the RFP itself wasn't what we anticipated it including work.
correct. And I get that, but there's
The problem was we
two
were
different...
missing, I think, 3 council members. We didn't have really complete council, and so I understand where Councilmember Jones is, and I am in full support of postponing this to another workshop and maybe extending the time frame out another 2 weeks. And
would like to see a little more discussion, and I'd like to see the RFP discussion specifically about that language and then how we proceed forward with that. I don't know, is Trent, Councilmember Putnam gonna be available next Monday? Be in town?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, so we should have a full body, so.
So is there a motion on the floor to move this to the next workshop?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, resolution number 14-116. We're getting there.
I don't have the agenda in front of me, but is this the Brian RV?
Yes.
Yes.
We discussed this. Brian was at the workshop and gave the council a brief summary of what it is we're seeking. So, the resolution, the City of Pacific, the City Council, the City of Pacific, Washington authorizing the police department to retain the services of Brian RV for accreditation purposes.
Okay, questions from council? Councilmember Jones.
Just want to, so I have a clear understanding, because I know we went through the paperwork for the document procedure. We just went through something, I can't remember exactly, that's one.
In September,
Yeah,
that was, we did retain him to get the policy manual up to date. And we completed that, so now we're on to accreditation.
I just wanted to make sure where I was stated.
Mr. Hardy gave a great presentation. I thought he did a really good briefing last week. Any other questions from council? Okay, Councilmember Holsey.
Accreditation, help us keep our insurance costs down, and kind of right.
Councilmember Steiger.
Well, the big thing is to just everything we can do that's kind of showing that we're moving forward and everything. It's just another little feather in our hat to our new insurance company. And so I think we should make any changes or anything else that would help satisfy them a little bit more.
Okay, any other comments from council? Councilmember Case.
Yep. I understand why we're using a contractor to help us out, because staff hours and reduction and the amount of time it would take by bringing an expert in who already knows what he's doing. But one thing I would like to see is that we have people trained at the police department to maintain this so that we can minimize our need for outside consultation on this.
We are in that process. Stephanie and Samantha are being trained as Brian proceeds. They're involved in it, and they will take over the accreditation once we get established.
So they'll be the maintenance
Yes.
personnel.
Any other comments? Councilmember Putnam.
I'd just like to say, it is good with the insurance company, but accreditation goes beyond that. The residents of the town deserve the confidence that their police department is accredited, that it is a competent professional department that meets modern legal standards. And so accreditation is an important part of public trust in the department, not just for the insurance, but also just so that the average person on the street, when they're stopped by an officer, knows that they're dealing with a modern professional police department.
Any other comments?
Don't argue about the ticket.
Oh, they can still argue about the tickets. It might reduce the number of times they claim they were pulled over because they weren't related to so-and-so.
Any other comments from council? Comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, roll call of council, please.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Smithson?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Holsey?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is resolution 14-117.
Resolution 14-117 is a resolution of the City of Pacific, Washington, authorizing the acceptance of a Washington State Traffic Safety Grant in the amount of $2,000.
Make motion to approve 14-117. Second.
Okay, Councilmember Steiger.
We discussed this quite extensively in workshop, let's get her done.
Councilmember Holsey? Any other comments from council? Comments from the audience? Being none, roll call of council.
Councilmember Holsey?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Case?
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 14-118.
Resolution number 14-118 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Pacific, Washington, authorizing the purchase of a 2014 Chevrolet Tahoe. And I think now is the time I should say that we went to Finance Committee. The vehicle that was spec wasn't available, and we found out another holdover vehicle that was ordered by the State Patrol that wasn't picked up. And so that's $6,000 less than what we talked about at the Finance Committee meeting, and I think that, I think that this is included in their packets, is that right, Amy? The new spec is 29,000 something, because the other one was 36,000.
Questions of council? Councilmember Case?
This is the two-wheel drive?
Correct.
Further questions from council? What's council's pleasure?
Second.
Councilmember Holsey?
New vehicle, that old pickup truck about wore out, and this is a good price on the vehicle, to serve our purpose as well.
Councilmember Steiger?
Nothing further.
Any other comments from council? Comments from the audience? Come on up to the podium and thank you.
Jean Fancher, 37248 55th Avenue South on West Hill. My first comment has to do with procurement policy in general. There's been a lot in the news recently about global climate change, carbon reduction. We also had a previous mayor, which I couldn't find it on the website, but make a statement or a proclamation in council that the City of Pacific was participating in kind of a statewide, a nationwide mayor's conference on carbon reduction. I pulled the stats on the fuel economy of the Tahoe versus, which is a full-size vehicle, versus the Ford Explorer. The two-wheel drive 2014 Chevrolet Tahoe C10 8-cylinder 5.3 liter is 15 miles per gallon in the city, 21 on the highway, 17 combined. With the E85 fuel, it's 11, 13, and 16. The larger car, the four-wheel drive that the city was going to purchase or had in its specs was 15, 17, and 21, and on the E85, 11, 13, and 16. By comparison, the 2014 Ford Explorers in the four-wheel drive range from 20 miles to the gallon in the city, 28 on the highway for a four-cylinder 2-liter, up to the six-cylinder 3.5-liter automatic with regular gasoline 16 and 22. I don't know how many miles a police car drives in a year. I don't know exactly how many miles it is from the command officer Massey's home in Bonnie Lake to Pacific, but even a 10% savings in fuel reduction reduces the carbon footprint of the city, reduces the operating costs of the city, and reduces the bill to the taxpayers, one of which I am. Secondly, just besides us having a general procurement policy for the city, which this could be a part of, that falls in with the city's adopted policy of using recycled materials, we do owe it to the future to provide, to do the best we can to not impact the environment negatively. Each one of our purchases has a carbon footprint, it has a value, and to just buy the biggest car there is because it fits the specs, I think is irresponsible and irrational, and I would like the council to vote no against this purchase on those grounds. Secondly, shifting from a four-wheel drive car to a two-wheel drive car cuts out those of us who live on the West Hill. If there are emergency responses to the West Hill, and you have to go up Chavita Boulevard or go up the Windy Hill Road, and there are landslides or trees, that reduces the effectiveness of the police department of providing us services. I would rather see the police department driving a smaller Ford Explorer type four-wheel drive vehicle, as does the Edgewood Pierce County deputy. They drive Ford Explorers. It's an Interceptor type vehicle outfitted for the police, seems to do very well. Just from a safety standpoint, the response time for the larger vehicle is not going to be any better or any faster than for a slightly smaller vehicle. The towing capacity was, what, 5,800 pounds, 6,000 pounds in the original specs. I don't know if the radar machine the city just bought weighs more than that or not, but I know I can pull a horse trailer with a couple of horses with my Ford Explorer, and that's a 1992. I mean, and it's not in the best of condition. So I take issue with just going along with what the police department wants without giving them some guidance concerning general procurement policies that looks at fuel efficiency, carbon footprint, and service to those of us on the West Hill. There were no tire tracks down any of our roads when there was snow, but I'm driving my Ford Explorer up and down my driveway. There was no police patrol cars, so I think the city needs to have not only maybe this mid-size four-wheel drive command vehicle, but also some four-wheel drive patrol cars, because those of us on the West Hill pay just as much in taxes per thousand, and we have just as many problems, and there are just as many emergencies. Valley Regional Fire Authority doesn't even serve West Hill. They have agreement with the King County for response up there. So if we're going to pay the money from the West Hill, we'd like to see some more of the services. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Councilmember Jones.
She did bring up a couple of good issues, because originally we talked about a four-wheel drive, because of the optional conditions issues.
Correct.
And she brings up a very good point as far as working up on the hill and stuff like that. So was this an opportunity situation for this vehicle?
Yes.
Is there?
What? Yeah, I mean, it saved us $6,000, but we still have two four-wheel drive vehicles.
What do we have? Yours?
We have the Suburban and Dodge pickup, four-wheel drive.
So are they being utilized though as police vehicles at this time?
No,
No, they're not.
I think we ought to get 10 Tahoes
So
replaced.
we looked at like she said, with the option of the Ford, Escape.
Explorer.
Something like that.
It's not an option, it's what,
Explorer.
four-cylinder, it's useless.
Well, I don't say four-cylinder, but the Echo Boost, they moved into that six-cylinder range. So I'm just asking questions, because the concern I have too is that we moved from four-wheel drive to two-wheel drive. That's one issue.
Okay.
So,
We could spend $6,000 and get four-wheel drive. And I'm open.
In some of the,
You,
in some of the past bids, did you have bids on, bids from a couple weeks ago, were there bids for Ford Explorers?
I didn't look at them because they're useless to me.
They're not all
four-cylinder. But they're four-wheel drive, and
So is it tough, we can get anything four-wheel drive.
Councilmember Holsey.
One of the reasons that we chose to go with a bigger vehicle, by the time we put a computer and the light bulb rack, the shotgun rack in there, scale in there, there's no room for another seat if you have these mid-sized vehicles. It's illegal to drive with the doors off, so, the vehicle, that would be the only feasible option that we have.
Well, the purpose is the size of the vehicle. We want a full-size vehicle. You know, we carry a lot of things. It's a command vehicle. And State Patrol drives Tahoes, Pierce County drives Tahoes, and several other agencies, Auburn, is driving Tahoes. There's got to be a reason for that.
Councilmember Case?
Yeah, some of the discussion was that this would be used as a command vehicle, and the room needed for all of that equipment to be able to run a major incident would justify the extra size. Other topics of discussion was possibly taking the chief's four-wheel drive vehicle, making it the command vehicle, and giving him the two-wheel drive vehicle to use as the staff vehicle. That would still be available as a police vehicle and a commander.
Other comments from council? Councilmember Steiger?
I believe, and I discussed this, correct me if I'm wrong, but all of our, police cars are all-wheel drive, aren't they?
No, they have a traction control, but they're not all-wheel drive. If that's an option that comes available on the 2015, at least the Chargers. They have an all-wheel drive option.
Other comments from council? Okay, being done, roll call of council.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger?
All right.
Councilmember Walker?
No.
Councilmember Hulsey?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Case?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is resolution 14-119.
Resolution 14-119 is a resolution of the City of Pacific, Washington, authorizing the purchase of a Stalker radar trailer.
Okay, questions from council?
To approve 14-119.
Okay, Councilmember Steiger?
Well, we discussed this quite extensively, and also it has some real neat features where we can use it for like Pacific days and whatever. It's got other uses besides just a radar trailer.
Councilmember Hulsey?
Yeah. I would prefer to see one with a camera on there, or at least a flash, to where if you're above a certain speed, that will flash at you. I understand they adopted something similar to that over in Iraq, and the flash is just California.
Any other comments from council? Councilmember Jones?
Just, what does the police department see as its primary utilization of this item?
Moving it different locations where we receive speeding complaints almost daily. So I think I would take it, for instance, if we had a person call in down on, off a residential road that was not a main arterial, and they were saying that the vehicles were traveling 40 miles an hour up and down the road. So we put somebody out there in radar, and there was not a violation, so we could put that unit there. It monitors speed, monitors date, time, everything we could do. I would like to do that before we start tying up officers, sending them out. And that would be our primary purpose, and then Public Works has their purpose.
In addition to being a radar trailer, this has a variable message sign that can be used for other emergency announcements if necessary.
Yes, it's got 4 lines that are available, and to actually read, it would print out more than what our reader board does. That's not my primary,
No, for instance, the next time there's a slide on
Exactly.
Valley, you can park it out there with a closure announcement.
Exactly.
Until there's permanent signage out.
or, yeah, and we've thought about emergency management as far as using it for events. So, there's a lot of uses. The police department's primary, though, is traffic enforcement.
Councilmember Jones?
That's a question, I don't see it in documentation that they have to provide, but does it retain like a historical amount of traffic flow, how many, it's not gonna capture the vehicle, but I mean, capture how many times that speed has been broke?
Yes,
Okay, because that's what we wanna look at, we wanna look at historical views
right.
on that road to make sure that that's the road we need to enforce versus this road.
What I don't know is, we download the information when we, say we leave it out for 4 days in an area, we download it, but I don't know how many days that it retains the data, you know,
We'll find out.
yeah.
Councilmember Hayes?
Another thing I see is that it can do a dual purpose for us if it's, you know, it's put somewhere, especially on a road that people are complaining, people are speeding on because the road itself is deteriorating and people need to be slower on it so that the road lasts longer. You can also use it to determine how much traffic is actually on that road so that then Public Works can take that data and justify why a certain road needs to be prioritized for repairs.
Exactly. Glad that Public Works was in on this discussion too when we were looking at this. Any other questions from council? Okay, any questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll call the council. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
I have
sorry.
a question. Is there a way to secure it so it doesn't disappear while it's sitting out there? Like,
Well,
they're unfortunate.
It has locking mechanisms. They would have to cut it apart or pick it up, but
And somebody would be notified if the signal was interrupted?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I doubt it.
See it running down the road.
You know, we can probably put an alarm on it. I don't know what the answer is.
Any other comments from the audience? Ken?
I was in the discussion, so for the first year, it basically will send a signal back to the police station, and they can download the data that way. If they want to keep that, it's like $1,200 a year, but for the first year, that's included in the price. And so, yes, if somebody towed it off the first year, we'd know it, or they would know it. So, but after that, and it is one that we'll be able to download you'll be able to download the information on a smartphone. There's an app that they give us to be able to download, so either Public Works or police can download the information daily.
Councilmember Holton?
What's power source on that?
12 volt.
Okay, is there a solar backup?
Yes,
There is?
yes.
I didn't know we had looked at so many different ones. I know that it comes with 2
Solar panels.
marine 12 volt batteries,
Yeah.
but, okay, because it does have solar backup.
Those have the solar panels are optional.
It's on our quote.
It's not our fault,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions from council? Did we miss anybody in the audience?
I do have one more question.
Councilmember Patton?
And you probably don't know the answer to this, and I'd be in favor of it either way, but, do you know if the radar is sensitive enough to detect bicycles?
Give me your first one.
You can test it.
The reason I ask is that there is an annual traffic count, of bicycles, throughout the state, and there is no counting south of Kent on the interurban trail, because, of course, it takes staff to sit out there all day and count them, unless this happens to be sensitive enough to pick them up and park in the trail.
Our radars pick up bicycles.
Yeah.
I would think it would.
So if it parked it somewhere where it couldn't accidentally see cars running down the trail far enough.
I think she said that the camera would pick up bicycles. I don't know about the radar, but I know the camera will, and that's what they use for counts.
Yeah, perfect. What I was wondering about, because we got a have a bike count coming up again this summer. So Civic's never represented in that because, we never have enough staff to send somebody out to just sit and count bikes all day
I
long.
thought you were sitting out here to count bikes.
They wanted more coverage than I could provide.
Okay, any other comments from council? All right, and then now roll call.
Councilmember Putnam.
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger.
Aye.
Councilmember Walker.
Aye.
Councilmember Halsey.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Taves.
Aye.
Councilmember Commissioner.
Aye.